Griffin Leclerc had everything: wealth recognition and a penthouse view of the New York skyline. At 38, he was the CEO of Leclerc Tech, a rising star in artificial intelligence. But as he stood behind the glass walls of his high-rise office, watching the city pulse beneath him, he felt nothing but emptiness. His 3-year-old son, Oliver, hadn't walked since the car accident 6 months ago. Griffin blamed himself. It had been his idea to take the scenic route through Manhattan traffic. A distracted driver ran a red light and crashed into their SUV. Griffin walked away with a fractured rib. His son had suffered trauma to his legs and more deeply to his spirit. His therapist said it would take time. His nanny said patience was key. Griffin, however, didn't have patience. He had board meetings, investor calls, and sleepless nights filled with guilt. So when his nanny called in sick one Tuesday afternoon, Griffin had no choice but to take Oliver himself to the city park for fresh air and a break from screens. It was there that everything changed. Central Park was quiet that afternoon. Spring was just starting to bloom. Griffin sat on a bench, his phone in hand, replying to emails while Oliver sat silently beside him, clutching a small toy giraffe. Then he heard laughter. A few yards away, a young girl in an oversized gray hoodie was crouched in front of Oliver. She couldn't have been older than 13. Her dark curly hair peeked out from under the hood, and her jeans were torn at the knees. She had no shoes. "Come on, little guy," she said gently, her hands outstretched. "One more step. You got this." Griffin looked up, alarmed at first. But then Oliver stood and took a step, then another. His heart stopped. His son hadn't stood on his own in 6 months. The girl clapped, smiling wide. "You're amazing. See, you can walk." Oliver giggled, wobbling slightly before collapsing into her arms. Griffin rushed over. "Hey," he said. "What's going on?" The girl turned, startled. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything bad. He just looked like he wanted to try," so Griffin looked at his son. Oliver was smiling. "You helped him," Griffin said softly, more to himself than to her. "I'm Griffin," he said. "This is Oliver. What's your name?" The girl hesitated. "Jessa." "That was incredible, Jessa. He hasn't walked in months." She shrugged. "I talk to kids sometimes. They listen more when you're not an adult." Griffin smiled, then noticed the dirt on her sleeves, the way her hands trembled. "Where are your parents?" Jessa looked away. "I don't really have those anymore." "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, really. I just hang out here sometimes." Griffin knew what that meant. She was homeless. Griffin couldn't sleep that night. He kept seeing Oliver's face when he stood. The joy, the light. And Jessa, how natural she was, how gentle. The next day he returned to the park. She was there again, sitting by the fountain with a bag of crackers. "Jessa." She looked up. "I wanted to say thank you. I was wondering if you'd like to spend some time with Oliver, not babysitting, just playing. I'll pay you, and make sure you have food." Jessa frowned. "I don't want your charity." "It's not charity. You helped him, and I think you could help more. Please." She hesitated, then nodded. Days turned into weeks. Every afternoon, Jessa came to the park. She played with Oliver, taught him games, sang silly songs. Griffin watched from the bench, each day shedding a layer of the walls he'd built around his heart. He learned that Jessa had been in foster care, had run away after her last home turned abusive. She'd been living in shelters and parks for nearly a year. Her mother had died from an overdose. Her father had never been in the picture, yet through it all, she carried a light inside her, a strength Griffin couldn't ignore. One rainy day, Jessa didn't show up. Griffin panicked. He searched the park. No sign. He called shelters. Finally, a volunteer at a youth center said a girl matching her description had been taken to the hospital. She had collapsed from exhaustion and dehydration. Griffin rushed there. She was asleep in the hospital bed, pale and fragile. He sat beside her, holding her hand. When she woke, she whispered, "Sorry I didn't show. I didn't want Oliver to see me sick." "You're not alone anymore, Jessa," he said. "You don't ever have to be." While Jessa recovered, Griffin hired a private investigator, not to dig into her past, but to ensure she was safe. The report revealed something he hadn't expected. Jessa's mother had once worked at Leclerc Tech as a janitor. Years ago, she had written a letter asking for help after being laid off. The letter was never opened, buried in piles of fan mail. Griffin found the letter in storage. It read, "My daughter deserves a better life than I can give her. Please, if anyone reads this, help her. Her name is Jessa." Tears welled in his eyes. He had missed his chance once. He wouldn't again. Griffin applied for legal guardianship. It wasn't easy. Social workers questioned his motives, but he fought for her, explained what she meant to his son and to him. 6 months later, Jessa moved into their home. Oliver ran to her, now walking with ease, and wrapped his arms around her. "You're my sister now," he said. Jessa laughed through tears. "Yeah, I guess I am." Years passed. Griffin started a foundation in Jessa's name, focused on helping homeless youth. Jessa spoke at events, her story inspiring thousands. She graduated with honors, went to college for child psychology. Oliver grew stronger, more confident, always crediting his big sister for showing him how to stand tall. On the 10th anniversary of the day in the park, Griffin took them both back. The same bench, the same fountain. Jessa, now 23, placed a pair of tiny shoes on the ground, her own daughter's first pair. Griffin wiped away a tear. "You changed our lives, Jessa. That day you gave my son hope. But you also gave me something I didn't know I was missing. Family." Jessa smiled. "And you gave me something I thought I'd never have. A home." They stood together, watching little feet take their first steps, this time into a world full of promise and love.